Who was Lise Meitner by Elise Willis? For the extra credit, I would like to receive extra credit on the 2D motion, vector, and projectiles test. Lise Meitner was born November 7th, 1878 in Austria-Hungary. She was born to Philip and Hedwig Meitner of Vienna, Austria. Her original name is Elise Meitner, which is also my name, and her grandparents were Jewish, but her parents did not practice Judaism, so she did have Jewish ancestry, but she was not practicing. She's the third of 8 children, and she was enrolled in school until age 14 when she left, just like most of the other girls during that time. But while she was in school, she enjoyed math and science. Then she wanted to be a French teacher, so she went to teacher preparatory school. But then in the 20th century, universities began to open up to women. So she devoted her time to studying for the entrance exam, and then she got into the University of Vienna, and she took calculus, chemistry, and physics. She had a very supportive professor at the University of Vienna, and he believed that all women deserved the equal chance that men got to prove themselves, so he encouraged her to try for a career in science. His name was Dr. Ludwig Edward Boltzmann. For her doctoral research, she did research on conduction of heat in solids. And then she was the second woman to receive a doctorate from the University of Vienna. And then she couldn't find work in the physics field, so she ended up teaching at an all-girls school in the day, and then she conducted research during the night. And she was researching about the properties of alpha and beta rays with Stefan Meyer Boltzmann, and she was measuring the alpha and beta rays by measuring the absorption of a radioactive rays by using different types of metals and using a leaf electroscope. Then, because Berlin was so much more advanced in radioactivity, she asked her parents for some money so she could go travel and live in Berlin and look for a job there. So when she gets to the University of Berlin, she has to get special permission to be able to attend Max Planck's lectures. And while she's there, she ends up meeting a chemist who had interest in collaborating with her. His name was Otto Hahn. Otto Hahn ends up letting her be his assistant, and because women were not allowed to work in the laboratories, a director, Emil Hermann Fischer, said that it'd be okay if she set up a sort of makeshift laboratory in the basement of the building. So Otto Hahn and Lise did research on radioactive decay, which was basically just meaning that they discovered that some radioactive elements decay into a related isotope, and then that daughter isotope can also decay into another isotope, and so on, which creates what's called a series. And then Meitner discovered the element proctinium in 1918, and she was rewarded as the extraordinary professor in 1926 at the University of Berlin. But then Hitler becomes the Chancellor of Germany in 1933, so now she is not only facing gender discrimination, but she's also facing religious discrimination because of her Jewish ancestry. So she ends up fleeing Germany and goes to live in Sweden. And she still talks with Hahn and Strassman about nuclear fission and their research. She gets the award of the Leibniz Medal from Berlin Academy of Science and the Leibniz Medal from Austrian Academy of Science for discovering proctinium. And then she gets the Ignaz Lieben Prize in 1925 from Vienna Academy of Sciences. And she's also Germany's first woman physics professor. And Otto Hahn ends up receiving a Nobel Prize in chemistry for their shared work on nuclear fission, except he doesn't give credit to either Meitner or Strassman. He only takes credit for himself, despite Strassman having said that Meitner had done lots of the work and found most of the information research. And then Meitner also receives the Max Planck Medal, as well as the Enrico Fermi Award. And she became successful because of her perseverance, because she faced not only gender discrimination, but she ended up facing religious discrimination because of her Jewish ancestry by Hitler and Nazis. But even with all those odds stacked against her, she still persevered and she stayed committed to what she wanted to do. She had a goal and she did anything she could to achieve it, instead of quitting after being discriminated against and being hurt. Even when she didn't get credit and recognition for her work on nuclear fission with Otto Hahn and the Nobel Prize, she still persevered and didn't give up and continued, and that's why she was so successful. Nuclear fission was a shared research by Otto Hahn, Lise Meitner, and Strassman. And it was research on how the effects of combining uranium with neutrons could produce barium, which was lighter than uranium, which was contradictory to what they had originally thought. They thought that they could only make something heavier. And Meitner explained this using Einstein's E=mc², and it was they explained that the uranium nucleus had undergone fissions, which was splitting into two nuclei and then released a large amount of energy. And they named nuclear fission after the biology term fission, which was referring to cell division. And her work was ultimately unrecognized because Hahn took all the credit and got a Nobel Prize, but she got nothing. Meitner left a big legacy, and it included the co-discovery of nuclear fission, which also laid the foundation for the atomic bomb. She overcame gender and religious discrimination, which was very inspiring, and she fought for her place even though the odds were stacked against her, like I said, with gender roles and religious discrimination. And she was an inspiration for women in the STEM fields because she was Germany's first physics professor, and she made such big strides in the physics and chemistry she contributed so much. And I picked her because when I was reading about her story, I was so inspired by her commitment and passion to reach her goal of being a physicist, even though literally everything was stacked against her. People were holding her back because she was a woman, and people didn't let her be part of the laboratory in the University of Berlin, but she still worked in the basement and made a makeshift laboratory, which I think was so inspiring, and just her level of commitment is so deserving of recognition. So I also wanted to bring recognition by doing this presentation, because she did not receive recognition for her work in nuclear fission in the Nobel Prize that Otto Hahn got. So I wanted to share her story, and also one reason why I picked her is because her name is my name, and that stuck out to me. So yeah, this is my works cited, and that's all. Thank you.